Dear Lord God, can they stop putting out updates for the love of God? Oh my God, it's so much. It's ridiculous right now, man. I was hoping they had a two-part update. Now they're like, oh, by the way, dev notes. Yo, drop everything in the same day, my guy. Jesus, man, I'm like tired. But what's going on, guys? It is your boy Cash, and I'm here to talk about the regular hero balance, and I got some issues, and I got some love, hype, I got everything, because I'm already upset about what this is, and I just want to touch on that quickly, because everything else is probably very positive. So it's like getting the good news, bad news out way, and then you get the good news. Secondly, underperforming heroes will be regularly rebalanced. Before the balance patch we had in June, we promised to have regular hero rebalancing every 6 to 8 weeks. We hope this upcoming patch gives you better experiences in growing heroes and creating your own strategies and tactics. I've said this before, and I'm just going to touch on this as we go through this. I do not like this. I've experienced this in fighting games and esports. A lot of games that do regular balancing usually ends up with them doing characters. You're going to invest, like, we're going to go through this whole list. I haven't even looked through any of this stuff yet. We're going to go through those lists. You can pretty much see that Luluca's there, and there's going to be a bunch of characters that are getting changed as well. My issue with them doing that is purely, like I said, is because if they keep changing it, Luluca, she's probably going to be buffed. I'm assuming she's not going to get nerfed. A lot of people don't think she's that good. She's going to get buffed. People are going to invest into her, the people that have her, and everyone's gonna have Luluca. Then if she's underperform, like if other characters are underperforming, or if they think they're overperforming, then they'll nerf Luluca, and it's just a cycle that's gonna keep going and going and going. And I just feel like that's just annoying. And you guys let me know. I just wanted to briefly touch on that because I'm excited for buffs, but I know what happens when characters get buffed. Some of them will get overtuned, and then those characters will be the best, and then they have to bring them back down, and then it's like a cycle, and it could just be the same characters over and over again. I just hope that that doesn't happen, and that's what happens usually when you do regular hero balancing. When instead of doing regular hero balancing, you should balance it once and be done with it. But what the esports do is that they balance it multiple times over and over again to keep things fresh, and that is what it's supposed to do, to keep things fresh, to keep things interesting. But in my opinion, it just makes things a little bit of annoying. But you guys let me know how you feel about that. So first off, we have Luluca, and it looks like she's getting some changes. Let's see Wild Wave before and after. Attacks with the immense elemental force. And this is her S1, so we can see that. I'm just reading a little bit so I know what move it is. S1 is now going to have a chance to defense break on the S1. And then it looks like the Wave of Vengeance is going to be changed to attacks on enemies with a Power of Ruin with an 85% chance, going up 10 to decrease the defense. And the cast attack increases every time the skill is used, can stack it 3 times. That is pretty much the same. Well, actually, no, that is different because the damage dealt before, and then now the cast's attack is increased. So with this change, it's going to be that every time she uses the S3, her attacks get better, which is going to make her S1 better. It's going to make her S3 in generally better in that regard. So that's kind of cool. And also, she has 2 defense breaks, which is kind of weird. To have 2 of them, to now that she has this. I don't know if it's 50% in general, like forever, or does it actually go up, because before there was no thing on this, you know? So I don't know if her skill ups are going to change, that this goes up in chance, or it's just 50% chance and then the damage just goes up like it was before. Their reasoning is Luluca was initially designed as a mage who is beneficial when used in long battles due to the fact that her skill Wave of Vengeance increases damage dealt. However, her other skills ended up being ineffective due to high dependence on the skill Wave of Vengeance. Therefore, we made skill adjustments while maintaining the original concept of a mage who is beneficial when used in long battle. Now, I don't think that was ineffective. She had a shield that scaled up her attack, and she had a defense buff, which is that's really good. I think the only thing they could have done, or I would have done, is just made that a lot better, and they could have made the skill S3 maybe have a higher ceiling, either for the attacking or for the scaling, damage dealt scaling. It could have just had a higher ceiling. I think that would have been better. But the skill Wave of Vengeance now increases attack instead of damage dealt. This in turn influences damage of the skill. Yeah, that makes the barriers. So that is a good change. Like, now it makes everything better, like I said. So in addition, a defense decrease feature has been added to the skill Wild Wave. We changed the design so it works in a defense decrease role by increasing the defense decrease probability for the skill. Will this bring her into people utilizing her? I feel like the people that were using her were gonna use her anyway. Now, if someone summoned her because they like the way she looked and then they want to use her now, I mean, she's a water mage. So I'm not exactly too sure that she's gonna just randomly come back into the meta because of this. I think this is an okay change, but I don't think it's gonna make anyone like dump the other characters they have built for her. This is nice though, so you can at least S3 and get a really good shield later on, and the defense break on the S1 is really good, but she's squishy-esque character, so you're not getting counter or anything like that on her. You could run her as a support S type, but I'm not too sure you're gonna do that either. Next up, Baal Sezan. We have the Dark Cloud, damage increased by 30%. Damage dealt proportional to the debuffs increased by 50%. Last Requiem cooldown is decreased by 2 turns. Previously it was 5, now it's 3. Baal Sezan, I think his issue mostly was just his speed. His kit seemed okay to me, but I think it was like his speed was an issue. He was also a defense breaker. His S2, if it killed, would reset his S3, and that was kind of like a cool interaction. But I think it was his damage numbers. Like he actually couldn't do as much damage to really make you want to actually put him in the team comp. I think that was his issue. So they say Baal Sezan is a mage who inflicts various debuffs to the enemies and deals damage proportional to the number of inflicted debuffs. However, the damage of Dark Cloud, which resets the cooldown of Last Requiem, was not strong enough. Yep. So Baal Sezan was not preferred among players compared to many heroes who inflict debuffs. Improvements have been made to skills which will balance the relationship between Dark Cloud and Last Requiem and the damage of Dark Cloud. The basic damage of Dark Cloud is increased by 30%, and the damage dealt proportional to debuffs is increased by 50%. So that Baal Sezan will deal more damage proportional to the number of debuffs inflicted on the enemy. So this makes her like her, well, technically the doll is as a her, and then the person with the thing is a guy. But anyway, what this makes it is like, it's really good with Dizzy. You can like stack debuffs, and then he should do decent damage, and then it will help you get your Last Requiem, which is the S3. The S3 doesn't seem to go up in damage at all. They just made the S2 more reliable, so that's pretty good. Ludwig Sama. So Ludwig is also in the chopping block to come up and get some buffs. He's a humble boss for me, daddy, because they definitely changed him recently too. So now his attacks, his S1 attacks with a light with a 50% chance to stun. Oh, this is his S2. Okay. I was like, wait. I actually don't remember his S2 having an ability to stun, because it's usually used as a nuke. So I never know it actually had a chance to stun. So when the enemy is defeated by this attack, he gets a invincibility. So he would S2 kill someone, get the invincibility, then he would follow up with the S3. Now he doesn't need to kill anybody with it, so you can pretty much not use it as, you don't have to build him as crazy DPS. So now you can S2, get the stun, and get invincibility. So that is a nice, decent change. Then his S3 is getting changed, that now it penetrates his defense by 20%, I think, on base, and penetrates defense by an additional 30% if the caster is invincible. So a little bit different of how it works. A critical hit will grant the caster a barrier for 2 turns, with strength increasing proportional to the caster's attack. So that is the same. So what they changed is that it penetrates 20% defense regardless, and then an extra 30 if the caster has invincibility, which he's guaranteed it now. So it's kind of weird that they did both of those at the same time. But this allows you to use the S3 on jump even if you don't have the invincibility, which is still pretty good. It's still a good change, but that's pretty much just a nice change. So these changes so far are pretty, I'd say light. They're not like game breaking. There's nothing like that's crazy. I do think the Baal Sezan one so far is pretty good, and Luluca is good. This one's obviously good too, but I feel like this is not changing your gameplay with Ludwig at all. So the conditions for being granted invincibility was too difficult to achieve, as it required Ludwig himself to specifically kill the enemy. What? The condition was now been removed, and Ludwig will be granted invincibility whenever the skill is used, regardless of whether or not the enemy was killed. What? That thing did crazy damage. It would normally kill people. I mean, I guess people, I'm used to seeing like YDCBs, and I guess if you didn't have like the best of the best gear on them, and maybe it was difficult for other people to do the self setup, which is this is what this is for, the self setup, to S2 nuke someone and then S3 nuke the rest of the team. So I guess maybe it was difficult if your gear wasn't up to snuff. Also, Call of the Moon will now always penetrate defense by 20% with an additional 30 if Ludwig is granted invincibility, which will make the damage more effective and balanced regardless of whether or not Ludwig is granted with invincibility. Like I said, it's an okay change. It's decent. It allows you to S3 from the beginning if you want to, or go for the S2 nuke if you think you're gonna get the kill. Even if you don't get the kill, you have invincibility. It just makes him a little bit more safe and more consistent as a character, which is nice. Still don't think he's gonna get like randomly put back in the meta though. And next we see Tenebria. Let's see what they changed. I wonder if they changed her sleep, because that would make me like super hype. Attacks with an explosion of dark energy with a 35% chance to put them to sleep. Oh, why am I reading this part? It's no point. Okay, so attacks with a, yes, 50% chance to sleep. I've said I want to go back to my freaking I want to go back to my freaking Tenebria guide, and I said this before, and I was saying, yo, if her sleep was more consistent, her S1 would be so much better because it does not trigger a dual attack. The fact that you lose that without like a soul burn or anything like that, to me was ridiculous. It sucked so bad. And I said, since it can't trigger a dual attack, you should have a higher chance to sleep. Something along those lines. So now you have a higher chance to sleep, so that when you get into sleep, then you get your combat readiness, which is awesome. I think that that is amazeballs, and I really like that. And they also look like they're just giving her a nice little 10 increase on her S3, so it's a little bit easier to defense break. They should make it 100. These are freaking nat 5s, man. I hate this shit. I really do. That like these characters are supposedly some of the rarest characters to get in the game, and they don't have guaranteed ways of doing stuff. Some of them do, and some of them don't. I think that they should just make them that they all do. Like, this is guaranteed defense break at max Molagora. I'm not saying like you don't have to invest into it. Some characters you don't have to invest for their shit, but if they do have to invest, I think it should end at 100%. And I will not go away from that. It's really annoying to be like 85% chance, and you already have to deal with effect resist. Effect resist exists in this game. This is not Knights Chronicles. Knights Chronicles, there is no effect resist. If something's gonna land, it's gonna freaking land, my friend, or something's gonna activate as long as it says it's gonna do so. And I feel like this game should do that too, because it's much harder to get characters in this game than in Knights Chronicles and some other games. So it also goes down one turn too, which is nice. Let's look at the reasoning. The probability of Tenebria's debuffs landing is less competitive when compared to other heroes. My point exactly. Therefore, we have increased the probability of success of the debuff sleep for the skill Dark Explosion, and made adjustments so that the basic skill can give a more powerful attack even when other skills are on cooldown. In addition, we have changed the design of the skill Nightmare so that it now has a lower cooldown, as well as an increased probability to decrease the defense of all enemies, which allows it to be used in greater variety of situations. And that situations is that you're gonna use it as soon as you can. So there's no variety. Just pop that shit off. Pop it off. It gives you an attack buff. Then you just use it as soon as it's available. So yeah, whatever. All right. So next up, it seems like it's gonna be Leo, the fodder god, because I think I still have mine, or I was gonna fodder him. One of the two. I'm not too sure. So let's see what they did. So attacks with a slingshot with a 100% chance to decrease defense. Wait, when did they do that? Wait a minute, there was not 100% and a 50% chance to sparrow dive. Maybe they did it with the Molagoras and I never calculated it all the way up. So it's 100% chance. Wow. I actually, either I just foddered him or I was preparing to fodder him. That makes him a lot better because he is wind. So that would make him a lot better in Banshee. I've seen him in Banshee runs, and I was wondering, I forgot whose video I was watching. I was wondering, it's like, wait, that's so crazy that his Leo always gets the defense break. That's insane. I can't understand why that keeps happening. That's nuts. But now I see why, because it's probably Max Molagora, you get the defense break. So that makes him really way better in my opinion. So 50% chance after that to get the Sparrow Dive. Sparrow Dive, I think, is another defense break. Oh no, it's a stun if I'm not mistaken. Next up is his S3, the Flying Reiko. Reiko flies into the enemies like a bullet, attacks all of them with a 75% chance to stun. That is nuts. But again, see, now I would actually be pissed. I actually, like I said, I don't know if I actually foddered mine already, but that sucks. I don't believe in keeping every single character in hopes in that they will get buffed. But now if they're doing it every 6 weeks, now you're just gonna have to keep every character that you get, because they might be the next Shamalanga Ding Dong. Because, you know, like now 75% chance to stun is actually really good. If I remember correctly, Leo has decent speed. So it's almost like ML Araminta, just that it's less likely for the stun to happen. Only 25% chance less, because hers is like pretty much 100. But he has the same capability to do it, and for 2 turns at that. 2-turn stun. This is a 2-turn stun. Oh, I see, because they took the speed out of it, so the speed doesn't happen. But it's a 2-turn stun. That is, Araminta doesn't even do that. ML Araminta doesn't do that. This guy you'll probably see. You'll see him speed tuned with a character that will strip, like Basar, or they'll have like a AoE mage like Dizzy or something like that with the Ayala's Violin, strip everyone, and then he's gonna come and stun you for 2 turns. That is really strong. Even ML Araminta does not have a 2-turn stun, just saying. So here it is, the probability of triggering, oh no, I wanna spell Roman, chili Roman. The probability of triggering Sparrow's Dive has been increased after using the skill Fox Hunt. Additionally, the skill Flying Racco had the probability to inflict stun increase. This combined with a lower cooldown should allow it to make a more threat. Yeah, he's going to be nuts. He's going to be very highly contested. And like I said, I saw videos of him being in Banshee. So there is a now people can build him safely and not have to worry about him being irrelevant even in PvP. So that's nuts, because obviously the stuns mean nothing in most PvE situations. So but PvP, a 2-turn stun is nuts. Next up, Roman. I've had him for like 8 years and he's done nothing. No, chill, Rikoris. Chili, Rikoris. So now it's the gravitation. Attacks all enemies with the magical circle with a 50% chance each to decrease combat readiness by 20% 4 times. Okay, that was a little complex. That was a little complex for me. So now it hits the people 4 times. Each time has a 50% chance to lower their combat readiness by 20. So if the magicalness happens, it will reduce it by 80%, which is pretty much a turn reset. Obviously not 100%, but really close to it, so that if they're not at like about to go, they're pretty much going back to 0. They have to hit each time, each 50% roll, but that's still pretty good, and it makes them a little bit more reliable. Now let's check out the event horizon, which is actually around Roman was actually really good, because if you read here, he would dispel all buffs, increase his combat readiness. These are all the same things. These are not like different things that happen. And he would switch the buffs to poison. So that was pretty good. So now, and the caster's combat readiness increases by an additional 30 when the enemy is buffed. So he gives himself pretty much an 80% combat readiness boost. He can S3 as long as one of these poor unfortunate souls has a buff. He's gonna give himself an 80% boost. Then he can S2 and then lower the combat readiness, and then he can S1, which also does combat readiness stuff too. I know Elemis is going to be really happy about this, because he built like Roman, because this was back when Diane was like running a muck. Diane and Angelica running a muck everywhere and just buff, and the only there wasn't really much stripping option back then. So Roman was the only option from the base kit of the game, like the base of the game, and it was like, yo, I need someone to strip. And he not only strips, gave you poison, and would help you finish and then cleave everyone else after that. So he would also help against C. Armin as well. So this is a really good change for anyone that's looking for, don't have Gerardo, but have this guy was like, I don't know what he does, but I'm gonna keep him for some reason. And this also sucks again if you foddered him off, because he didn't seem that good to you back in the day. So let's look at the reasoning. Roman's skill Event Horizon was seen as attractive but difficult to use due to ineffectiveness of gravitation. Was seen as attractive. So yeah, people liked it because they liked the ability to take all your buffs and turn it to poison. The skill Event Horizon was also modified so that when the enemy is buffed, the caster is granted an increased combat readiness, allowing them to attack more frequently. To compensate for the low effect chance of gravitation, which only has a 50% chance of decreasing the combat readiness, the number of times the enemy combat readiness can be decreased has increased from 2 to 4. So they didn't want to make it more guaranteed, but they also gave you more chances. It might only happen twice, but at least if it's twice, it's 40 instead of it only happening half of the times, which in this case would have been once, and only getting the 20. So that's cool. I guess I'll skim over Rikoris, because they changed Captain Rikoris, because that's pretty much only what you're gonna do with Rikoris. Quick Pierce, which I think is his S1, attacks with a spear with a 50% chance to decrease the defense for 2 turns. Effect chance increases by 25% when the caster is granted increased speed. That is interesting. Supreme Spear, with healing increased by 100%. Wow. Decrease damage increased by 41. They want to make him more DPS oriented. They're changing around his skill tree as well. More defense. This is now 20 instead of 10. That's a 10% increase. Nice. In order to enable Captain Rikoris to more effectively fulfill his role as a tank, the defense and HP increase gain from rune enhancements will be increased. We have improved him by increasing the amount of health he can recover, so they're making him a tank. I know he's like a warrior, but they wanted him to be more reliable as a sturdy unit, which is nice. This is a nice change. Next up is the Raz. Oh baby, he's here. They came back for the boy. They came back for the boy. This is very rare, because like I don't know what they can do to really make him that good. I think his scalings were garbage if I remember correctly. So this is his S3, Sword of the Air. Strongly attacks all enemies with a sword storm, recovering HP, and increases defense of the caster for 2 turns. The damage dealt and amount recovered increases proportional to the caster's HP. That's a change, right? See, before the damage dealt, like the heal was based off the damage, but now the heal is based off his HP, so he should heal a lot more, pretty much is what they're saying. Now his awakening, blah, 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 blah. After X slash attacks with a sword, 75% chance to, so, oh, they made him like a debuffer. This is the basis of the Sword of the Air, and now his awakening changes his S1, 75% chance to take a debuff off. That's really good. That's nice of them. Although Raz is our protagonist, not many heirs have used him because he lacks a clearly defined role. Yeah, he was just garbage. He was just garbage because he's a 4-star unit. No, actually, he's a 3-star unit, is he not? I think he's a 3-star unit, if I remember correctly. I'm not 100% sure on that. Anyway, changes have been made to Raz Awakenings, yada yada yada. These adjustments are mainly for heroes, which are used for PvE and will be updated on August 8th, 2 weeks from now. So they're also letting you know that this is going to happen on August 8th. So that's pretty cool. Adjustments details for the following PvP heroes will be released on July 31st. That is in 6 days. So Basar is getting a buff. I just got him. Fiend, or you fine, as me and TK say. I don't know. It's an easy joke. Easy jokes are easy. Lilibet, which sucks because I stopped summoning for Lilibet because I was like, she's okay, but I don't know. But now she's getting a buff. Luluca I do have is getting a buff. ML Coley getting another buff, which is weird. I feel like most people that have her are satisfied with her, but they just keep buffing the chick. And the only nerfs that they're gonna do is Araminta, Baal Sezan, Vildred, and Armin, all ML versions of those, which kind of sucks because they just buffed Vildred, so you can really tell that a lot of this is very panicky because they just buffed Vildred, and I would hate to see, because he just became good. The only thing I do think they need to change of him, I think, was the attack buff on his thing. It pretty much was too free. I think he dies, comes back, gets a full combat readiness and an attack buff plus his full S3. If it kills, it gets like, it was a lot that he got, but he sucked. No one used him. So they over buffed him to compensate that for people that did have him and just had him sitting in the thing, which, you know, makes sense. So that's what I'm assuming that they're doing here. But these buffs so far have been nothing too crazy. Leo's buff seems kind of crazy though. I think he actually he's like the winner. He is the winner. He's the winner in my eyes. Araminta, I don't think that she needs to really have anything done to her. I don't think ML Araminta was a problem at all. 100%. I'll stick by that. I know some people will hate me for saying that, but she's easily countered by immunity. Her team comp was her problem. ML Baal is a problem. He definitely needs to be tuned down. I agree with that. And ML Armin, I don't know what they'll do to her, but I feel like they're gonna make her irrelevant. 100%. They're definitely gonna make her irrelevant. They're gonna make Baal Sezan. I don't think they'll make him irrelevant, but they need to tone down his, I think, his S2. Like, I don't think it should strip, put you to sleep, also give him combat readiness when it's available. And it just did too much. I think they should take maybe one of those things away. I don't want them to change like the chance of things happen, because, like, again, there's a rare hero, it's a nat 5, regardless if it's Moonlight or not, but it should do what it's supposed to do. That's why I like Araminta. She stuns and burns. That's, you know, the burn chance is lowish, but she does what she's supposed to do. Don't ruin these characters to the point where they're unplayable, because then they're just gonna become unplayable. Then people are just gonna not want to play the characters that they either really like or actually invested into, and then you can like recall them, and I don't know. I'm just not a fan of that. I hope you guys understand what I say by that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know which changes are you most excited for. Like I said, I definitely think Leo I think he's the winner. A 2-turn stun is nuts. 75% chance to stun AoE for 2 turns is nuts. There's nothing in here that remotely compares to something that strong. I don't think that, and now I want to watch other people's videos to see if they agree or disagree, but that is the strongest thing, hands down. Like, you'll definitely see a lot more Leos in the meta with a stripper, probably Roman. Now you're gonna have Roman and Leo. Those are gonna be the two in everywhere. And yeah, that's crazy. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and remember, every day in the casino is your lucky day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.